Hello, this is Dr. Jennifer Shell, and I'm so excited to have you guys here to learn all about essential oils and the application of essential oils in your practice and for yourself. So this first course that we're starting off with, our first module, is the introduction to essential oils. We know I am not giving legal or clinical advice or professional advice. I'm just sharing with you guys what I know and what the research shows. Unfortunately, in the natural realm of things, the research is not as extensive as something to say pharmaceuticals. So I'm just operating off of what information we have, but then of course I'm going to tell you clinical applications and what I have seen successful and what I have experienced with. So today I want you guys to be able to obviously verbalize why using essential oils is a really great adjunctive modality that you can use in your practice. I really believe people are looking for and searching for natural options, natural alternatives. And from what I can see as a chiropractor and clinical nutritionist, most people that see me are seeking midwives when it comes to having children or just starting a family, or in many states, if you guys are able to practice primary care. I think people are really seeking alternative therapies, but also they want to be heard and they want to be listened to. So I think you guys are absolutely perfectly fit as birth workers. So I want you to be able to verbalize what aromatherapy is, what essential oils are, because there's so many misconceptions and so much wrong data out there. So I'm really excited that you're taking this course. I want you to know how to use them. It's really important that we understand that there's different grades of oils. And also, I want you to be able to think with essential oils as birth workers. For instance, an oil that you use on a baby is going to be way more diluted than something you're going to use on an adult, if you even use it on a baby at all. Okay, I want you to also, really importantly, be able to verbalize the benefits of adding this knowledge base to your practice. And of course, I really think it's important to have the knowledge and experience often from trying to use something on ourselves. That's how I got into it before I'm recommending it to patients. Like, I've used it, I've tried it. I guess every so often, maybe I haven't, but I'm very clear, like, listen, I don't have any experience with this, whatever it is, but I've heard it's great and it gets good reviews. So preferably I would prefer that you get experience and knowledge under your belt, have some positive experiences, then it's going to be so much easier for you to implement that into your practice. So what is aromatherapy? Aromatherapy is actually the practice of using essential oils for physical and emotional benefit. We can inhale them. We can use them topically. Some we can even ingest. We're going to go into all of this. It's covered, as I say right there. It's covered in the following sections, all of this information. But what I find so ridiculous is, like, you'll see, I just saw a laundry commercial. It was for, like, I don't know, some kind of little beads or something that you put in your laundry, and it's like, oh, use aromatherapy, and this lady's like smelling her laundry as if it's got some therapeutic benefit. And the sad fact of the matter is, this isn't really aromatherapy. You're scenting your laundry. The other thing that I want you guys really to be aware of and take home from this, which we will be discussing like as the course goes on and in this module, but so many essential oils. I wish you guys could see I'm using finger quotes. Essential oils are actually just chemicals. They're not even real essential oil from the plant because they can use chemicals to mimic mimic or look like the natural chemical constitution of an essential oil. So that's really sad. So we really need to be looking at that. And we're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what are essential oils. So if we look at, say, a rose bush, when you sniff a rose, like just think about it for a second, you guys. I'm sure you can kind of even get the aroma of a rose and you can see its soft petals. So here's what's awesome. The essential oil of the plant is what protects it. It's how that plant wards off disease and infection and all sorts of like dangerous things. And it's also how the plant heals itself. So innately, the plant has this essential oil. Obviously, it's attracting pollinators too, but like if you think about the smell of a pine tree, well, birch essential oil has healing properties. So it's really cool to think about just the innate value of what we're getting. And a true essential oil is literally just plucked from the plant. And that's what you want. You want the pure essential oil. You want it directly from the plant, pressed, distilled, however they need to extract it, and put it in a bottle. So that's really important because when we're talking about pure essential oils, many on the market say that they're pure, say that they're organic, and they're not. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So think about this though. And I'm going to specifically, just so you guys know, and I'll be very clear and upfront, I represent doTERRA, DOTERRA, means gifts of the earth. That's the specific brand that I use. I've used many, not all, but most. And then as we start talking and the things I'm going to teach you guys, for me, the testing and the purity is 100%, like super important, utmost importance. So you guys can use whatever brand, whatever you're comfortable with. There's lots of different models of companies. So for me, I just went with the most scientific research and literature and the most comprehensive testing. So just to be super clear, but there was something I was going to tell you guys about that. Okay, testing. That's what it was. So when we're looking at how we get the essential oils, there's multiple different ways to get it. Some you actually have to use chemicals to extract the oil. So those typically, no, Well, with doTERRA, they're very clear which you can ingest and which you can't. So I don't want to speak for all brands, but technically the oil is pure, but because they used a chemical to extract it, you don't want to ingest it. If it's just through different distillations, mechanical pressing, you can actually ingest many oils. So this I have found is very new to most people, and they're really in the beginning not comfortable with it. And we will talk more about it, but like I commonly ingest different oils for immunity, different oils for the nervous system, for calming, for energy, like peppermint, doTERRA's peppermint, 1 drop. It's so concentrated. It's equal to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So we may drink peppermint for digestion. 1 drop, that's all you need. So I'll put it on the fatty pad of my thumb and just press it up against the roof of my mouth. I do the same thing with frankincense and an oil called copaiba, lavender. It's actually, doTERRA's lavender is safe to ingest and it's really effective for anxiety. I'll be telling you guys this all throughout the different modules, and I do a lot of repeating because there's so much information. The number of times over something, the more that you hear it, the more you're going to grasp it, and it's just going to become part of what you know. Okay? Was there something else? I feel like I covered a lot on that point. So remember now when we're talking about composition and the chemicals, there's natural chemicals and then there's synthetic chemicals. So the natural chemicals are more like the natural composition of the oil. And then when I think chemical, I literally more often think synthetic, okay? But the different compositions of these oils affect the smell, the absorption, and how it can affect us. So something to think about is when something is harvested. So if we're growing lavender and it's harvested before peak season, then you're not getting a fully potent product. And I'm sure I'll say this again, but if you guys think about a raspberry bush in the very early spring, a raspberry is hard and green. You're not going to eat it then. It's not going to taste the same. It doesn't smell the same. And I don't even know, who knows? I can't say you're not going to absorb it the same, but I don't know. I don't know. So think about things like that. So with different harvests, all of these, any kind of essential oil begins as a harvest, whether it's coming from the root, the stem, the flower, the leaves, the needles, like it's got different sources. Okay. But anyways, the bottom line is when we harvest matters for potency. And when we're diluting things with synthetics, we're going to have different absorption and different effects on the body and definitely different smells. Years and years ago, I bought, well, it can't be that many years ago. How many years has Amazon been around? I needed frankincense. I was like, oh my gosh, gotta have it. I bought this frankincense, and because I know what pure frankincense smells like, I got this and it literally smelled like perfume. Like, this is obviously not frankincense pure, okay? So the chemical composition may vary even within different plant species or from plant to plant. So something else to consider and to think about, again, doTERRA, because this is what I use whatever you'd like, but doTERRA's frankincense, we use, I think, 3 or 5 different species of frankincense because we want to bring it together to make sure that we're getting potency and that we're getting a truly strong product. But also, depending on the harvest seasons, like maybe one genus is harvested at a different time of year or a different area of the world or that country. So bringing it together just, to me, gives a more well-rounded product. So essential oils have actually been used for thousands of years. They've traced it back to Egypt. They reference essential oils in the Bible. So there's so many different cultures that have used different essential oils around the world for millennia. So to me, that's natural medicine. Something like pharmaceuticals, of course, there is a time and a place. But to me, that is new. And a lot of it is, in my standard, not tested long enough. I want something people have been using for thousands of years. That, to me, is good data. So anyways, just a side note. So you can see, you guys, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Chinese, the Indians, American, like Native American and Indian. So they've used them for rituals, for healing, for cleansing and purification. They were used as natural medicine. And again, this is something to me that we should be taking advantage of today. We're exposed to chemicals in our food, in our water, in our air, in our body product. I mean, chemicals are everywhere. So my mission in my practice and in my life is to really help people distance themselves from chemicals as much as possible, because so many health concerns, things you guys deal with every day, infertility, the inability to hold a pregnancy too, like just so many issues. Those are just a couple instances, but so much I think relates back to chemical exposure. What's in our food, what's in our water, what's in our air, and what are we putting on our body? It's so toxic and it's such a burden to our livers that, in my opinion, anything I can do to help people get away from chemicals, I'm all about it. So, okay, again, we're talking like this goes back before the time of Christ. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics and Chinese manuscripts show that they had a very high place in their civilization. So that's tried and true. So they can be considered natural medicine when they are therapeutic grade. So again, doTERRA, I can tell you that they've done studies, clinical studies on their lavender. And in the studies, lavender was as effective as anti-anxiety medications, in some cases more effective. And something that I think is so important that we address, that the medical community doesn't, is that anxiety can be a hormonal imbalance. Anxiety can be from poor diet, too many carbs, too much sugar, not enough protein, not enough good fats, not enough water. So these are things that are so simple to look at, but so often missed or ignored or just not looked at. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper into how to use essential oils. And I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am. I just love this literally so much. So I hope you guys get a lot out of it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is inhalation. You can get something called a diffuser. A diffuser is not a humidifier, but it kind of operates the same way. So it's got like a little basin. Sometimes you do the oil straight. Typically, I just don't use that kind because I bought one and I didn't know how to use it, and so I gave up on it. But if you can figure those out, that would be great. Somebody let me know. I don't really know what my problem was. It's like a diffuser, but you just do the oil straight, whatever. So the way that I do it is every room, literally in my house. My kids both have them in their rooms. We've got one in our room. I've got one in the kitchen, my office, the laundry, not the laundry room, not the laundry room, the family room. And the great thing is you mix water and then you put like oil into the basin. Now, obviously, a bigger room, you can use more oil because you're covering a bigger space. Typically, I say start with around like 6 to 8 drops total. That can be like one oil, or it could be a combination of oils. Something to take note of is pets. Pets have really sensitive olfactory systems, so there are certain oils you don't want to use with pets, some with cats, some with dogs. My favorite, oh gosh, there's this woman, she's a veterinarian, her name is Janet Rourke, Roark, Rourke, and you can get her book. She's also got a great Facebook group. Then the other book that I really love too is called Spoil Your Pets, like SP and then OIL. Get it? Spoil Your Pets. And that one I get on Amazon. Also, great books. It will tell you exactly like one of my best friends, he's a veterinarian in Arizona, and people are asking him, like, they want natural remedies and stuff. So he's going to start selling doTERRA oils because people can make roller bottles for pets similar to babies. Like, pets even more so, to be honest. Like, you really dilute things down. So anyways, I digress. Let's go back to this. The diffuser, when you mix the oil and the water, oil and water do not mix. So what's great is the oil and the water are pushed out with like, I say force. I don't really know the word to use for it. It makes a little mist coming out of the diffuser so that the droplets kind of are sprayed out with the water mist. So it is great, like a little humidifier in a sense, but also then you're inhaling the oils. So when my boys were babies, we definitely used the diffuser in the bedroom. Lavender for sleep, and then my big thing, because my boys have since like birth had sinus issues, so we did lemon, lavender, peppermint, and their rooms are not very big. I would do 1 to 2 drops of each and diffuse it in their bedrooms, and that would keep their sinuses open, and that would reassure the young, nervous mother that I was. So another thing you can do is literally just take a couple of drops and just put them on your palm, rub your palms together, and then make like a cup over your nose. And you're going to want to breathe in for 30 seconds. Okay? Now, let me just tell you real quick, apart from it just being like a really nice smell, it can really help with the respiratory tract, congestion, also stress, anxiety, calming, uplifting, focus, panic attacks. Like and I'll show you how it works right now. So when you inhale it, you're stimulating the olfactory system, your smell system. So your smell nerve, the olfactory nerve, goes right up to the limbic system in your brain. And the limbic system is emotion, memory, heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, stress. They even say hormonal balance. So essential oils really can make a difference. Like I'll just breathe them in for 30 seconds. I can't remember if I shared this story anywhere else, but I'm going to share it. So during COVID, when schools were shut down, I wasn't going to work. I'm up in Michigan, and my boys were home. My youngest has ADHD. He was 9 at the time, and I remember sitting at the dining room table with his laptop, trying to get him to do work, obviously, and he is rolling around on the floor doing somersaults. So I was like, Rowan James, you need to sit down and we need to get this work done. And he came out of the womb kind of like sassy. And I always tell people, like, please don't judge my parenting. Like, my husband and I are really nice people. And we're just trying to do the best we can. And he just came out of the womb very spicy. So he looks at me and he goes, listen, the reason I'm not being very good is because you're not very good at this. Okay. I thought for a second, I was like, okay, I'm a little mad about that. That was rude. And then I'm like, no, you know what? He's right. I am not a teacher. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, so I took a second. I'm like, okay. But I realized I needed to gain control of the situation. So I set all of the diffusers going with Adaptive. Adaptive is a doTERRA blend. I'm sure other companies have blends or you can use straight oils, but I did Adaptive because it's for focus, for memory, and it helps with mood. So I used Adaptive in the diffuser. And then I gave him wild orange in his water. So wild orange is awesome for like uplifting mood. It tastes really good, but it's great for mood. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. So anyways, he drank 2 drops a day. And for 3 days, we just did this, and everything was going so smooth. So, of course, I didn't say anything. So, on the 3rd day, he came up to me, put his arm on my shoulder, like kind of condescending. I told you, don't judge me. I'm just being the best parent I can be, whatever. So, he puts his arm on my shoulder and he looks at me and goes, Mom, I have got to tell you, those oils that you're diffusing, they have really helped you. You have not flown off the handle in 3 whole days. And I just looked at him like, awesome. So as you can tell, it can really benefit everyone, right? Like, I didn't fly off the handle because obviously he was doing his work and behaving. Look at that. So I'm just seeing they really work. I have so many awesome success stories of people literally after just like one use saying to me like, wow, I was able to sleep the first time in 5 years. Or like, oh my gosh, like I literally feel less anxious in a day. So it really is amazing. But of course, you need to kind of know and have an experiential experience with them also. Okay. So let me make sure I covered all of that. Breathing, memory, stress. Yeah, okay. Oh, I do have one more quick story about for breathing. One of my girlfriends, she's super into oils also, and she was at her kids' soccer game, and they were like, well, maybe like Rowan's age. I don't know, maybe a little younger, 6 or something. And a little boy on the team started having an asthma attack, and his mom realized she didn't have his inhaler. So my girlfriend dug through the bottom of her purse and found a combination oil called Breathe and pulled it out, had the little boy put a couple of drops in his palm, rub it, and make a cup, and sit there and breathe it on the sidelines for 30 seconds while mom went to go get the inhaler. And literally within a minute or so, he had come out of the asthma attack. So how awesome is that, right? Okay, I could tell stories all day. Okay, topical. So when we talk about topical, this is on the skin. Remember that our skin is literally like our biggest organ. Anything that goes into our skin is being absorbed in the body. So for me, I am so anal retentive with my patients. Don't use deodorant with aluminum. Don't use, body care stuff with petroleum and synthetics. Same with thinking about babies. Like I see a lot of babies with eczema, and a lot of times they're using petroleum-based things, which I get it. If you need to, do what you got to do, or sometimes the skin is so raw that we just have to have a barrier. But something like lavender oil is an antihistamine. So with an all natural, like thick based butter, or what's the natural? Is lanolin the natural one? Or there's like a whatever, I digress. So just think about on the skin that what we put on our skin and what goes in the products that we're using is going into our bodies. Now, sometimes we want the oil to stay longer on the skin. Essential oils will evaporate. Okay, so if you put it on your skin, it will evaporate off. I constantly am putting peppermint oil on the back of my neck. It helps my neck, so it's more comfortable. It's great for headaches. It's great for hot flashes, and it's great for digestion and sinus also. But peppermint will evaporate off. So if you want something to stay on your back longer, then we might want to do an oil with it, a carrier oil. So a carrier oil is like coconut, jojoba, argan, almond. I don't care if you use olive oil, shea butter, like whatever. What it does is it spreads the oil out over a distance. Dilution, we often think making something less potent, but it's not the case. It's just spreading it out. There was something else I wanted to say about that, but it will come to me. Okay, now you can really put oils kind of anywhere. I'd be very careful on like sensitive skin and babies. Of course, we're going to be very cautious with that little tender skin. And as we age and our skin thins, you may want to use hair more frequently. So let me just give you guys a little idea. So certain oils do not need to be diluted. This is called using them neat. I like to put hot oils that we typically would dilute, I put them right on the bottom of my feet, undiluted. Even my boys, my youngest is 12, so I suppose with age, like I would not put it on a little person just because their skin is so sensitive. But these oils on the bottom of the feet do not burn me. They do not burn me. They do not burn my family. And I commonly recommend that to patients. So that's an option, like oregano. It is fantastic for your immune system, but trying to drink it like in a little shot glass of water, it will burn absolutely every part of you that it touches. So I personally just put it on the bottom of my feet and absorb it through my bloodstream that way. Peppermints, wintergreens, those peppermint I personally don't dilute on myself, but they say that wintergreen always needs to be diluted. This is a funny story. So I was listening to a webinar that this ER physician did on a blend that doTERRA has called DDR Prime. And it is specifically like anti-tumoral. Now, you guys, let me just say this, and I will reiterate this through this whole course. You have to be so cautious and compliant with what you say and what claims you make, especially per your state, your country, your discipline, your whatever. So for me, I just am very, very cautious. So I'm telling you guys this in the privacy of this course, but also like I'm telling you because I listened to this medical doctor talking about the research they did and coming up with this blend that has clove oil in it to keep your DNA healthy. So anyways, I got so excited about it. Like, yes, this is amazing. So I decided to just drop it, 2 drops right in my mouth. Literally, I feel like my respiratory system was going to shut down. Like, it was so hot. So please be cautious. Evergreen oils like bruces and spruces, birch, birch and different spruce, all the different evergreen oils. Just be very cautious. You're going to want to dilute. I believe those might be oils you don't want to use from pets, but don't quote me. Oregano, we talked about for the immune system. Also, thyme is awesome. And let's see what some other ones here. Oils, and there's others, but this is just kind of a list to get you started. But oils that do not need to be diluted, which, as we recall, we can use them neat. Frankincense, helichrysum. So frankincense, I'm going to be talking about all of these during this course. So don't worry. I don't want you to look at them and be like, oh my gosh, what is that? What do I do with these? Don't worry. I cover all of this. But frankincense, helichrysum, rose. Oh, I have frankincense in there twice. That's just because it's so important. Just kidding. I screwed up. But it is a really, like, people say when in doubt, use frankincense. It's really pretty much like universal. Lavender, copaiba is one of my favorites. Tea tree, sandalwood, Roman chamomile. So again, don't worry. You don't need to remember all that. I just want you guys to know that there's a difference. And certain oils need to be diluted and others don't. Typically, when you get a reference book, like all of my customers, when they sign up with me, I literally give them a reference book because that's like the Bible of essential oils. It will list conditions, different conditions and different oil options to use. It talks about how to dilute, and it also gives, they all give like a little chart on how to use it. Like, do I do this one topical? Do I ingest it? So my recommendation to you is don't get overwhelmed. You do not need to suck all of this into your brain over this so many hour course. Start with a couple of oils that kind of resonate or with you or look like oils that go with conditions you see often, and get familiar with that and then keep going. So let's talk about the grades of oils. So the only grade that I tried to deal with is therapeutic. Therapeutic, this is the highest grade oil. The thing to be aware of is many brands say that they're grade A, that they're the highest grade, that they're therapeutic grade. And the sad thing is, there isn't regulation. So the sad thing is, you probably are not getting grade A therapeutic oils. So it's really, really important that you're very, very cautious where you get your oils. So we want therapeutic grade oils. This is actually beyond organic, okay? This is like the cleanest of the clean, distilled down to the cleanest of the clean. So they can distill them. Okay, wait, where I got lost. Okay, oils are distilled for the chemical constituents. We're not just going for smell, although smell is nice, but I'll be honest with you, some of doTERRA's oils are so potent and so pure that I almost don't like the smell. Whereas if you're getting something more perfumey and diluted, I mean, that's great for smell, but if it's full of chemicals that are synthetic to make it smell, I don't know, weaker, then you're actually harming yourself. So my whole thing is, if I don't like the smell of something, I just don't put it on my wrists. I don't put it on my head. I just put it on the bottom of my feet and then put socks over it. Or here's a good tip: if you have pregnant women who are very sensitive to smells, but you know that they need the therapeutic benefit of the oil, definitely do bottom of the feet, socks on top. Okay, so we need to know that everything in the entire process is done to preserve the working action of the oil. So this goes all the way back to when it was harvested, how it was harvested, how it was processed, who processed it, who's distilling it, what testing is being done on it, how is it bottled, who is it bottling, who is bottling, and then how is it stored? So even coming into your home, like, you don't want to keep your essential oils like on a sunny windowsill. Like, you always want to keep them in a kind of like dark, cooler place. I wouldn't keep them in my car in the summer because it can actually alter the properties. And we don't want that, and we don't want it less effective. So the next thing is food grade. So food grade, this is like the oil they put in gum. And sadly, we don't really know, are we getting toxins and synthetics to make the gum taste like peppermint? A lot of times it will say, like, I've seen, different foods that say like I was reading a tea box, a pack of a tea at Aldi's, and it said like lemon oil. And I thought, Is that real lemon essential oil? Like, what is that? They don't really know. So that's something to consider because so often the oils are diluted. So what happens is, I'll just go through this. So when you go, say we're harvesting, I think I say this story again somewhere. But anyways, I don't know. So vetiver is great for stress and anxiety. And I find it's really just grounding. Like I don't get sleepy or anything. It just takes the edge off. So my kids, when they were little, they would called it my stink oil because vetiver has a very strong, like woodsy kind of smell. And if we were driving it anywhere and they were like fighting in the back seat, out came the vetiver, and they'd be like, "Oh, there she goes with her stink oil." I'm like, "Yes, and if you guys behaved in the back seat, Mom wouldn't need stink oil." But anyways, it's one of my faves. So it's grown in Haiti, and the farmers have to rake, like rake the root bulb out of the ground. So it's super labor intensive. And then at the end, they've cut this like huge like harvest of hay looking plant that is vetiver, and it's kind of big. And the sad thing is, in Haiti, most people do not have transportation, let alone transportation that can carry a harvest of vetiver to a distillery plant. So what has happened all around the world is middlemen or brokers come into villages and they say to the farmer, like, I will buy your vetiver harvest for like nothing. And the farmer's like, well, I have to feed my family, so I guess I'm going to do it. And then the distiller, or I'm sorry, the middleman, that broker, he distills it himself because the essential oil industry is not regulated. So, be it good or a bad thing, in this case, that's not great because, well, let me change that. Let me just go on. How about that? You make your own conclusions. So these middlemen, these brokers, take the yield, harvest that's harvested, they distill it down themselves. They can dilute it with whatever they want, as much as they want. It doesn't matter because it's not regulated. They can sell it and say it's organic. They can say it's safe to ingest. It might have started off that way, maybe from the farmer. But the sad thing is, when it's these brokers buying it, you don't even know anything about from where the farmer got it. We don't know if it was at peak season, anything. So, just so many factors going into this. So, what I personally love is that doTERRA has a standard of testing that I have not seen a comparable standard. And I've done a lot of research, but it's 54 different tests, and they use 8 different testing methods. But not only is it done in a house, they do third-party testing as well. And what I also love is that doTERRA works within villages with specific farmers called co-ops. And there was recently this big scandalous thing that was about frankincense and that doTERRA's farmers were not treated well or some crazy thing. And the very sad fact of the matter is that where a lot of these oils are grown, like Somaliland, where some of her frankincense is grown, it's a really volatile area, and the only livelihood is frankincense. So there's a lot of like tribal fights and disagreements. So I guess the bottom line is just be cautious of what you read on the internet. There's always two sides to things. And this is for any company, right? Or anything in life, right? We really need to figure out the actual truth. And there's just sadly a lot of false information, specifically about essential oils, not just doTERRA, like anything. I watched some documentary on Netflix, and this woman was using like tons of essential oils and got this horrendous rash. So instead of stopping all essential oils, she added in more. It's like, girl, what are you doing? Use some common sense. Anyways, I'm on a tangent. Let's get back to this. So anyways, food grade oils. So again, at the worst, they may have toxic chemicals added to them to extend it, to enhance the flavor, the smell. And the sad thing is, like, don't quote me the exact, but I think it's like 95% of essential oils on the market are tainted, contaminated with synthetic. That's disturbing. Now, perfumes, this is grade C, the lowest quality actually. Same thing as food grade. They're very often synthetic. They're diluted. There's just chemicals added. You most certainly cannot ingest them. And that's why I'm so okay, I'm going to tell you guys the story. So my girlfriend, my neighbor, she was ingesting lavender from a different company, and I knew the company, and I'd researched them, and she's like, no, Jen, it's organic. It says safe to ingest. And I was like, no. So again, like looking at third-party testing, she was actually ingesting 2 different synthetics in her lavender. So synthetic essential oils can cause skin irritation. So here's an example of this. Some people say, no, I'm allergic to essential oils. That honestly usually is not the case. The problem is they're allergic to the synthetics in the oil. So if you get headaches, get skin rashes, you can't tolerate it, it's usually from the synthetics. Now, some people are allergic to cinnamon. I'm sensitive to the evergreen stuff like pine. So I just get really stuffed up if I use anything with like piney oils in it. Here's something really disturbing, you guys. So a few years ago, there was a study published that said that lavender was estrogenic. It was like causing a higher estrogen in little boys, causing them to grow breasts. And that actually was not pure lavender. Lavender inherently is not estrogenic. It can help your body balance hormone, but it's never going to put estrogen in or cause an estrogen dominance. So that's just disturbing. And again, another reason why we really need to do our research. Again, like we mentioned, there is no certifying body for essential oils at all. So transparency from whatever company that you use is absolutely crucial. There's so many things we need to look at, and I will cover that at the end. So there's some things to consider as birth workers when using essential oils. And that essential oils can cause irritation. So, like I said, technically they're from the earth. Technically, they should be very pure, but they're so concentrated. Somebody could experience irritation if you're using them incorrectly. Like if you're going to put oregano on somebody and not dilute it, that could really irritate the skin. When we use essential oils during labor, you definitely want to make sure that you're like diluting them. Here's a story I have for you. So one of the girls that works for me, she just had a baby a couple weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. The coolest testimony. So she, the baby had turned, you guys know more about this really than I do. So the baby was transverse. I think it moved at the end, which I sound very naive. I don't even know why the baby would turn. I thought the baby was head down already, but anyways, whatever. Or maybe, I don't know the situation, you guys. I'm not even going to try and talk my way through that. The point of the story is she put peppermint oil on her belly, and I was like, did you dilute it? And she's like, no, I was desperate. I just had to get this baby out. Put peppermint all over her belly and delivered within 15 minutes. So I don't know. I'm not advocating that, but I'm just telling you guys, I would have diluted it, but it worked. And all was well in the world. Okay? Okay. Anyways, so if the care team at the hospital, is using aromatherapy, you definitely want to talk with your patient and talk about if they have any known irritations. If they're allergic to cinnamon and for some reason they're diffusing like a nice fall winter blend, that would be bad. So be sure that you're always conscientious in asking. Certain scents can bring back memories. So as we talked about, you guys, when we're talking about the limbic system, certain smells people may be really drawn to. So if you've got essential oils with you, let the mother just, sniff them in. What does she like? What is she leaning towards? Is that the word? I don't know what word I was for there. So aromatherapy during labor provides different pain relief than medication. Medication taken systemically works to cut your pain receptor pathways, right? So we're turning off pain. But you can use it on the skin. You can even use it in your diffuser. So I'm not saying you're going to be able to take away all labor pain, but if we can help ease it and relax them, that's amazing. I had a woman with horrible sciatic and copaiba with an oil called Deep Blue worked fantastic. Like I'm talking instead of cortisone shot in her back. So that was truly amazing. But again, labor is high stress, there's pain, so anything you can do in the form of a back massage, there's certain things you could do topically, you can diffuse stuff to help calm her, frankincense, lavender. We're going to go into all of that, so don't get overwhelmed with it, but just start really being able to think with it that there are so many different options and so many things available to us that we can have in our toolbox to help people. So now let's just talk a little bit about how it can help in your practice. We want to be able to serve our patients. And again, I really believe that more and more people are looking for natural alternatives. And again, I really believe that most people seeking a midwife are doing so because they want a natural experience. They don't want to be on a bunch of drugs, right? They're trying to avoid Pitocin and everything else, all of the medical intervention. So how wonderful for you to have a total secondary adjunct option in your practice to help them. So not only that, I want to also mention, just for me, like from my standpoint, also, like I said, I'm a chiropractor, I do clinical nutrition, but essential oils are also a tertiary income stream for me that has been really, really awesome. So it's something for you guys to think about, because I am more than happy to help you to do a discover call, see if it's something that would fit in your practice. But I have totally had such a fabulous, seamless transition integrating it into my practice. So that's something for you guys to think about as well. But we also want to look at pain management. That's a real thing, and really the medical community has very little to offer for that besides medication. So that's where you guys come in with all of the little tricks and tools and things that you can do. And just remember that essential oils can be amazing and so, so helpful for comfort, for anxiety. So, again, we're talking about having more tools in your toolbox, more things we can do to help our patients and our clients. Like, that's our whole mission, right? So, empower yourself to empower others. So, when I can enable midwives and other all birth workers to be able to provide safe, evidence-based, all-natural complementary therapies, like that makes my day, because I know they work, and I want you guys to see them also. So essential oils, in conclusion, are really versatile. They're all natural. They can be used for natural health care. They're not just for frou-frou smell good. Like, these truly are something that we can use as natural medicine. We definitely can be using them for cleaning, getting the toxins out of your home, getting the candles and the Glade plugins and all the synthetic junk out, and using all natural products. Yes, definitely. I definitely see a rise in popularity with essential oils and all things natural. Okay, so lots of companies sell lots of very cheap oils. Amazon, definitely do not buy your oils from Amazon. You don't know what you're getting, and I tell people about the same thing with supplements. I had a lady, I was out of stock of something, and she really needed it. She bought it from Amazon. It literally was not the same pill inside. No kidding. It was a capsule, different size capsule, different color. So that's horrifying. So you definitely don't want to do that. You definitely want to buy from a reputable company, but also when you see frankincense inherently is a very expensive oil because it's very difficult to harvest. So if you're at the health food store and you see frankincense for $20, you are not getting a good deal. You're not getting frankincense, right? So just be very conscientious. And when we understand what we're really getting, and when we're talking about that a therapeutic dose is 1 to 2 drops, and there's 250 drops in a bottle, that is good bang for your buck. Okay, so essentials have a ton of benefits. We definitely want to be cautious of tainted essential oils because we can get all sorts of negative reactions. Remember, the essential oil industry is not regulated. So this can make shopping difficult unless you really do your homework. Don't buy cheap oils. You're not saving yourself, you're actually hurting yourself, okay? Some essential oil brands use terms like 100% pure. They'll even say therapeutic grade. I saw at the dollar store, you guys, essential oils, again, air quotes, and it's at 100% pure. I thought that is probably 100% vegetable oil. So others use different names for the same thing. Like, you just have to be very cautious. I want you to use a very reputable brand. And the biggest thing, you guys, this is huge. You must know the company's testing, in-house and third party. What different types of tests? How many tests? Who's running them, right? Like, are you doing it in the house? Do you have third party to verify? Okay. You definitely want to know where your products are sourced from. How are they sourced? Where are they coming from? How are the farmers treated? Like, that's really, really important to me, because where I spend my money, I want to know that it's going to help women with small businesses, right? Like, so for instance, doTERRA, the majority of their farmers are single mothers with 3/4 acre plots. That is very tiny, and that is a lot of people that have to be dealt with as farmers, instead of, as say, using some huge farmer conglomerate, I don't know, who has tons and tons, and you're dealing with one person. It's more important to me that I'm helping single mothers and their livelihood and their children, and whoever's representing that company, because a lot of them are multi-level, which say what you want about multi-level, whatever. To me, it's absolutely, well, the comp plan that we have is absolutely amazing. Like, I love it and I fully support it, because the majority of people selling doTERRA oils, well, all of them, I'm sure, no, there's some men, but it's typically women. And to me, that's a small business. So I'm going to support people where I feel like my money is going to the best suited place, versus somebody who owns an oil company and so all the money goes directly to them. I don't know what's happening with the farmers. I don't know how they're testing. I know nothing. So that was on my soapbox for that. And just remember, and again, I don't care what you guys do, I'm just giving you the information and, of course, my viewpoint and my experience. So you are definitely more than able to disagree with that, but I'm sharing my experience. So for thousands of years, essential oils have been around. So that to me is tried and true, right? There are more and more studies coming out day by day. There just isn't, unfortunately, not a ton of money in it like in the pharmaceutical industry. So there's obviously not going to be as extensive testing, but also in my viewpoint, when I'm using something natural from the earth, personally, I don't need it as much testing. If you're going to ask me to take a drug, oh, there had better be extensive testing over years and years and years, right? Okay. So essential oils are fabulous for birth workers, for labor, delivery, for any aspect of childbearing years, even past. So baby to the wise, wise, young at heart. I like that. They work fabulous. So we can definitely use it to help manage pain also. And that's such a big thing, that women can feel so helpless dealing with, especially in labor. So there we go. And